And now I
touchscreen.
can't hear you again.
Hold on, shut up. You can hear
Unbelievable.
me. You can hear me now, right?
Yeah, you sound fine. Don't touch anything.
Well, I bumped it with my thumb when I was trying
Let's
to
not do that.
adjust my camera because I forgot my computer's a touchscreen. So
Jeez.
there's that. All right, give me a second to breathe. Let me take a sip of this drink and then we'll get started. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, welcome, welcome back. Episode 3 of How Wrong Can It Be? I'm Shane Matthews, along with Galen Unold. We are here in our remote studios doing our thing. This is it's your week to come up with a topic, so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you've done a great job. You kind of gave me the option of a teaser yesterday, and I declined. So
Yeah, I'm
what do you?
curious as to what you're going to think about this topic. But
I
it's
think I'm
been
going to hate
weighing
it.
heavy. I don't think you will. It's been weighing heavy on me lately.
Okay.
And it has to do with men and their ability and what's really we've lost. I think our generation specifically kind of lost it. That space where just men can go and just hang out and just be men without, you know, women coming in and changing the dynamic of it. Whether it's the neighborhood bar or your country club or your poker game, or for you, you have that. I have it. We have it in completely different areas, but it's still there. For you, it's your band, right? You
Yeah.
get to hang
Yeah.
out with your bandmates and just be guys and not worry about anything. For me, it's hanging out with other coaches of youth sports where we could just hang out. It's just guys.
Yeah.
And I think as a society we've lost that, and I think it's caused a lot of problems within our society. And I think that's something that we need to discuss as a society, whether it's the increased suicide rate for men. Um, you have a younger generation that is kind of having that same problem. Children our age, right, or kids
Yeah.
our kids' age,
Right.
and I think it's something we need to bring back because I think it's very healthy. Um, and I think by the word of it, like the men's club, it's very intimidating to people. But it's just us hanging out.
Yeah. No. I mean, actually, yeah. So this is a great topic, um, and I can honestly say this has not been weighing on me because I don't think about it. But now that you bring it up, it is a really interesting topic, and um, it's a really interesting thing to consider because, like you said, for me in my dynamic, I've had I played in a band for a really long time, and it was
Hmm.
just 3 guys, and you know we could just be guys. It
Yeah,
didn't matter what we said, didn't matter what we nothing was off limits. And you're right, not in a um, not in a sexist way or anything like that. Just not thinking about it. You
even
know what I
though it is
mean?
sexist by its very definition, I get it. But we talk different. If it's just and I think you and I are a great example. If it's just me and you, we talk different than
Yeah,
when we're with our wives. I mean, it's just
yeah.
we could say things, we can make jokes about each other, we can make, and it's not just dirty jokes. It's not that, but it's just
It's
the way
almost
things
never
are.
dirty jokes, honestly. I mean,
Yeah,
if especially like for you, for our relationship, you and I, we're it's never that. Honestly,
right,
for
right,
us, it's dumb shit.
correct.
Like we can talk about you know anything from our past, and it doesn't have to make any sense to anybody else because both know where we're coming from.
Sure.
I will say, you've mentioned a few times on the podcast already my former band, The Bitters. So that was just 3 guys. Now I'm in a different band, and it's 3 other guys and a female vocalist. So
Oh,
that dynamic has changed a little bit. Now the female vocalist in the band, she's very cool, and I'm trying to figure out if I have I've censored myself or not.
I'm
I,
sure you have, and it's probably subconscious
I'm sure it probably is. And
because it's
the
the
other
way
thing,
we've been
though,
raised, and I
right,
don't think that's a
right.
bad thing by any
No, no,
stretch.
I
No,
agree with you. I agree. The other thing is this is also a new. These are not people I've known for a long
sure,
time. So none of them. So even just the persona that I am in that group is different than you and I just hanging out,
right.
or me and the guys in the bitters just hanging out. It's a completely different dynamic, just because of time.
And the trust, and
Trust,
you've
time,
gone through
common
stuff.
ground. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Common ground. Just having a common frame of reference.
yeah,
You and I, growing up in the same town for the most part. You've lived different places. I've lived different places, and we kind of gravitated back. But you know, having still those shared things where we can talk about, the mall and water spots and all those dumb things that don't make any difference, versus meeting somebody for the first time in a different environment and not having any of that commonality. I
sure.
do find it challenging for myself currently, just because there is not really a common frame of reference. But going backwards, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack about that. You know, I've not dissimilar to that. I have thought about how not saying the Pledge of Allegiance in schools has had a similar effect in term of country. So, you know, subconsciously when you're a kid and you're pledging allegiance to your country, even though you're not, in the beginning, you're just kind of mouthing the words, and then at some point it either means something to you or it doesn't,
Hmm.
but there's an opinion that gets formed on that. And taking that out of the school system, I think has been done way more harm than good. In the same sense of what you brought up as far as like men being able to be men, I think it's the same type of dysfunction that has
Hmm.
happened with that. Like, you know, for me, my personal experience, my sanity has kept, being in a band has kept me sane. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
sure.
Because you
It's
can let loose,
right,
blow
right.
off steam. I'm
Sure.
not an athlete. I mean, maybe you can't tell from this amazing physique, but guys who are athletic, they have that same thing. It's in the locker room. It's on the field. It's
Hmm.
on the court. They have that. You know, I have my thing. You have your thing with the coaching staff type stuff. But I think the younger generation, they definitely don't have that.
Well, and yeah, again, I think this is why it's been weighing on me, and I
Yeah.
think for that younger generation, it's been replaced. Uh, whether it's the VFW or the men's club or playing golf. When I was playing golf a lot, that
Hmm.
was a release when you have that foursome.
Yeah.
I wonder if now it's been replaced by online gaming, right? And playing with your gaming crew,
Yeah.
because that's where their friends are. Those are the guys that they grew up with,
Right.
right? Those are
Right.
the people. My oldest son, he started playing this game with this kid when he was 7.
Right.
That's his best friend,
Right.
right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and he lives in Jacksonville, and he didn't meet him in person until he was 19. So they had been friends for 12 years and never met each other in person. But they knew everything about each other.
So, if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah,
how was that? Like, did they live up to? I mean, they've seen each other because they've
sure,
had cameras and
sure.
had little squares like we have on this broadcast, have little squares with us on there, so they knew what each other was like and about.
Hmm.
But did meeting in person change the dynamic at all?
No, and they're still friends. So my son lives
Yeah.
in Savannah. His name is Jake. Jake lives in Jacksonville, and
So your son
they still
just
hang
moved
out.
the exact same distance apart from him.
That's correct. Yeah, yeah, he's moved all around him.
Yeah.
But and I thought the same thing. And what's weird is Jake feels like he knows me, and I've met him 3 times,
Oh,
but
because
he's
he
heard me in the background of his
heard you in the
entire life,
background. Yeah, heard you in the
right?
background. Had
Or
had your son talk shit about
yeah,
you behind your back.
correct, all of that.
All
And
of that.
so yeah, and it's yeah, I find that fascinating. And going back, I just don't know. And for a while, it was just uncool. You can't go hang out with the boys. That's weird. Like, what
Yeah.
are you possibly talking about? I People ask me all the time, like, what did you talk about? You hung out when we used to hang out on the porch. It was just me and you. What
Yeah.
did y'all talk about? I don't
Nothing.
really remember. It was
Yeah.
just hanging out,
Yeah.
having a
Mostly
drink.
nothing. Yeah.
Uh,
Mostly stuff like this.
yeah, like that's me. This is probably one of the deepest conversations we've ever had. Um, but it's a lot about just I don't have to put in any pretense. I don't have to show off for anybody. I don't have to worry about offending anybody. The reason you and I got along from day one is because we realized I can't offend him,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
have said
For
some
sure.
dumb shit to each other and
Yeah.
laughed about it
And admittedly, you have offended many people you've talked to.
all the time. Well, you're a
Yeah.
redhead. I
So
have offended people in front of you, and I'll look over and oh, Shane will have my back, and he's gone. He's left. I mean, you have bailed on me.
now you're talking about that one time, and
You left,
that
and it was
that
a.
was a
By the way, what's the best part is you laughed. The next time I saw him, like that was hilarious. I'm like, you left, and he goes, it was still funny.
yeah, it was funny.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, Alabama haircut. I mean, it's
Yeah.
funny. By the way, he thought it was funny, and
Probably.
that's the other thing. And I was going to kind of bring this up because it's kind of related. My biggest pet peeve right now is when people get offended for other people.
Oh yeah, that's awful.
Like,
It's absolutely
I
it's
mean,
terrible.
why? I'm like, why?
Hmm.
Why are you getting offended? So I'm not a grown man. I can't take care of myself. Like,
Well, yeah. What gives them the right to be the police of what can be said or not said at the
and
same
I,
time?
and I think that's what's broken down that men's club. I'm gonna call it men's club because I
Yeah. Let's
hope
just
everybody knows what I mean,
for the
right?
rest of the episode. Yeah, it's called the Men's Club,
Whatever that is.
and we're not excluding women. We just don't know what you guys do.
I don't, and this is the other thing. I don't know if we even care,
I can tell
right?
you. I can tell you that we don't.
So my wife is at a Bonko club right now, right?
I don't know what that is.
I
I
don't
know
know
that
either.
it exists
I
because our wives were used to be in the same
yes,
club together before we moved.
and I don't care. Like
Yeah,
she'll come home and tell me, and I'm like, okay, and I just
yeah,
sit there. I really don't care,
yeah.
right?
That's also you. That's also
But
your personality.
I just can't. And I sit there and fake it because we've been married for a long time, and I love her and I care about her, and but I don't care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I really just don't. I was like, all right,
So, what do you think? So, let me backtrack a little bit. You mentioned, the generation that our kids are, you know, they're the online gaming crew, and
mm-hmm,
my sons have had very similar experiences where they've had friends in online games settings that have been friends for a long time. Not like Caleb's deal, but not too dissimilar. Maybe not quite that far distance, and maybe a different school in the same area or
sure,
whatever, but very similar. Online is kind of their pub, their neighborhood bar.
yeah.
That's
It's
their
the mall when
thing.
we were growing up.
But I think more and more and more, I can tell you for like one of our other kids, their group is definitely more diverse in terms of
Oh,
kind of like my new band. It's a mix of online people, of guys and girls, but they have this cohesion as a group that I don't know needs to be separated into a boys club. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like,
All right.
like Xander, his one of his best friends is a female, and they do a lot of stuff together, and there's no weird tension there because they both had relationships, and it's not anything like that. It's just that's their core group, you know. But having said that, you know, I think the younger generation also does things differently than we did. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
In terms of,
I think as you grow older, it becomes very, very difficult to be best friends with the opposite sex, especially if you're in a relationship. It becomes very, very difficult.
probably, I don't know, because all my friends are dudes, because that's just how we grew up. So,
Well,
um,
I think it's a little deeper than that, but yeah, I just think it'd be um, you're again. I think maybe it is different that we treat men differently than we treat women. Maybe
well,
it's different.
I don't
Yeah,
know that it is. I think it's ingrained in our our what men are.
yeah.
From hunter gatherer time where the men were the hunting party and the women stayed home and did that. Genetic makeup wise, we haven't changed. You know,
No,
we still have to go and do that the hunting, even though if it's not real. You know what I mean? Like
sure,
the band would be my hunting.
sure,
Sports, that sort of thing.
sure.
It's still the same type of almost tribal mentality. That I think that men have, and I think women have a different type of relationship. But that also goes into the whole thing of now, with stay-at-home dads and the moms going out into the workforce, changing that dynamic is something that is very interesting too because
I don't think there are that many stay-at-home dads either.
I there's not, but
I think the
it's not
percentage
it's
has
not
not
zero.
changed. No. But
I
you
think the
remember
percentage
there
has
was a
changed.
movement. There was a
I
movement. Um, the stay-at-home dad thing became popular probably in the 90s, right? It's that's when, the
well,
movies
I
came
think
out, right?
yeah. Well, Mr. Mom was
Um,
'80s, so I think
right.
let's bring it back to that. So it would have
All
been,
right.
in order for it to be a thing, that would have
I
been it would
I
have been
do
before
not
that.
think I do not think it's a growing trend. I
I
think it's
disagree.
found. All right. So, and this is something we can look up, but I'll
Yep.
bet you if you look up, and I don't even know where to find this, but if you look from like 1990 to
Hmm.
today, I'll bet you it's still just a very small portion of the population would consider
I
themselves stay-at-home dads,
I agree that it's a small portion of the population,
and
but
that
I
it's
do think
fairly
it has.
flat
I
as
don't think it's flat.
percentage
Now,
wise. Percentage
what
wise.
percentage of population? So
Yeah, yeah. So out of all the married couples that have children, let's just say it was 2% in 1990. I doubt very seriously it's over 5% today.
okay, so that'll be our gauge.
Let's say a
You say
5% growth. I think it'll
you
be a less than
less than
5%.
5. I'm taking the over on this.
Yeah, well, you should because that's where the odds are.
Yeah,
Really going
right.
out on a limb.
Well, I do think. I mean, one, it's hard because the population has increased, so the percentage may be the same, but the number is definitely bigger. But I do think the percentage has increased. I
All
think
right. Yeah, I agree. I
it's
agree the population has increased. I think the percentage has stayed flat.
I'd be willing to bet, and we will, that it's different. I bet it's higher now than before, um, just because of normalization that happens over time. You
Well,
know,
and again, but I think it was and again, it goes back to like I don't know any men who are stay-at-home dads, right? But I'm also past that in my life. But
yeah,
with
yeah.
my kids, right, going through their entire life, I don't know if I ever knew it. Now, there were times where a man was in between jobs, right? But his
Why are you looking at
plan
me?
was I loved it when you didn't work. It was better. Um,
And to be clear, I wasn't in between jobs. I was
you just
I was out of the market.
you were out of the workforce, enjoying yourself. Um, but I don't think it's now a thing, because now if you're at that point, if your wife is at that level where you could stay at home, you're going to go back to work and just earn more money for the family. Now, I believe that there are more women that earn more than the male counterpart. I don't have a problem with that at
I
all.
I love
I
it.
know you don't. I know you,
I love it so much.
but
Having a
and
sugar
those
mama
aren't the
is
so
not overrated.
no, and
Cannot
I'm not.
cannot say enough about it. If you have the opportunity, go get yourself one. I
And again,
highly recommend.
look, we that's to me is one of the side issues of this. I just think we need to normalize again just guys going to go hang out with guys. I'm not talking about like guys trips, because
Yeah,
that's too
yeah, yeah.
much for me. I'm
I
like,
agree.
I get sick of you after about 2 hours. Look, I
Yeah,
got
no,
drunk.
I'm
We
you and I are on
laughed.
the same page as
I've
far as
had
that
enough.
goes.
Like, I
Yeah.
can't take more than an hour of you right now. I mean, it's enough.
Yeah, it's like 55 minutes. That's about all. If you take out the technical difficulties, it's more like 45 minutes.
It's more like 30.
Yeah.
Um, but again, I think it's and I think it changed for a lot of reasons. I think society looked at it as a bad, but I look at it as a net good, and I think it allowed men to express themselves among other men, in a way in which they weren't going to be judged, they weren't going to be felt less than, they weren't going to. There was like, yeah, I get it, man, get over it, and I think that's
Yeah.
also a part of it. Sometimes you're with your buddies, and there's nothing better than when you're with a group of friends and you could say, man, yeah, right now, my life sucks. My wife, I think, is going to leave me. My kids suck. And your friend looks at you like, dude, you're a moron. I'd have left you a long time ago.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not something you could ever say in front of, if I was to say something like that in front of my wife to a buddy, she would be appalled.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. I think this is not going to
You,
be popular. This is not going to be popular terminology, but the pussification of men has
sure.
kind of gone hand in hand with
I was going to say the
that same thing.
feminization of men, but
Yeah,
you can
same
say
thing.
that. Yeah,
It's the same thing.
and look, you're friends with somebody when you can talk shit about them and make
Yeah.
fun of them,
Yeah.
and you both laugh. You're like, okay, sure, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, because one, it's probably only partially true, and two, deep down they know it, and
Yeah.
you're a good enough friend to be like, hey man, knock it off,
Well,
or hey man, suck it up. 'Cause that's the other thing. Everybody's got so touchy feely about feelings.
yeah.
What do you need them for? I mean,
Well, you're a ginger. But no, you've never probably even had them. You get rid of those after you go to kindergarten. Everybody's like, who's that? Isn't a redhead like a sign of evil?
well,
And
now,
shouldn't
but
we
look,
be castrating?
I got all this gray now, so
Yeah, it
now
helps. It helps. It helps.
I'm getting in touch with
But I but I but
my
I
inner
do
child or
think
whatever.
I do think that's a huge part missing within men,
I agree
and
with you.
and their ability just to relax and be around testosterone. And my wife's like, "What do you talk about?" I honestly don't know.
It
I've been
it
member of like VFW, and I sat next to the same guy, and it's the VFW right past Lake Weir, right,
uh huh.
Lake Weir High School.
Yep.
Thursday and Friday night, I would sit there for about an hour and a half, and the same guy was there
Yep.
for like 2 years.
Yep.
I never knew the dude's name.
Yeah.
Why? Why do
Yeah.
I? I didn't need to know his name.
Right.
It was, hey
Yeah.
man,
You just
or yeah, and he was a Marine, and so therefore he
yeah.
was,
You knew
I
where
made
he
fun of him,
was, what he went through,
right?
and
Yeah, and we would just bullshit.
yeah.
We would talk about how we were both in the big one, and the first Gulf War. That literally, and those kind of jokes. Like, yeah, this
Right.
guy's a sailor. Don't, he can't handle his liquor and all that. And I'm like,
Right. Right.
don't mess with him. He'll punch you in the face because he can't control himself. Those kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I do. I agree with you. I think that part of the problem with, the younger generation is, and I think this probably has a lot to do with, what you brought up earlier, like suicide rates, is they don't know who they are. They don't really
Sure,
have that sense of identity because it's been watered down.
sure.
They probably don't even realize it to some degree that they have been watered down, but it goes back to, like, nature versus nurture.
Hmm.
It's nature wins. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There's a lot you can do, but how you're wired is how you're wired. And if you don't have an outlet to just be an asshole to your friends, um, you're missing out. Because
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up in a time where, hanging out with your friends, no subject was off the table,
None.
no topic was off the table,
None.
no words were off the table, and it wasn't being mean. There was no hatred. There was no, like, this is going to be very unpopular, but me growing up, where where I came from in Michigan,
Oh,
you
I
knew
thought you were
people
going to
by
talk
their,
about the shores
no, well, that too,
with the
but
pores.
but you knew people by their ethnicity, you
Pores.
know,
Sure.
and you made jokes about their ethnicity,
Absolutely.
and they made jokes about your ethnicity, and they made jokes about their ethnicity, and you made jokes about yours.
Sure.
Everybody made fun of everything because
Sure.
that's just the way it was, and there was no hatred in it. There was no meanness in it. It was just,
Depending.
hey,
Sometimes there was for me. I
I
mean,
mean,
I got my nickname uh, until I was between the ages of like 9 in high school, and then it changed. But it was Chippewa, right?
okay,
Because look, I was brown in an all white school. I mean, there were no other brown people. So
all right.
and then it became Habib, but that's because I walked out of the shower at basketball practice with a towel on my head, and I became Habib the towel head.
And you bring up an interesting point. My perspective of being, a fair skinned redhead is, from that perspective. And for me, there was no malice in anything.
Sure,
Whatever I called, and by me, I just mean people. Like, I was never, that's not never been my gear, but, like, um, it's just, it was part of the culture back then to just know people as this or as that.
sure.
Uh, but your experience being different,
Well,
actually
and
being
I'm slight. I'm
funny.
older than you, and again,
Well,
I we, and I try to tell people this all the time.
but
Like
you're being part of the only group that really is should be allowed to be here, and
uh,
I'm, we're
sure,
all
yeah.
guests.
Well, look, we know my hearing is superior. We know I cannot handle my fire water. Um, but the truth is, um, I, my generation, right? I was
Uh
born
huh.
in 1970. Is the first generation without segregation in the South. Right? That's
Wow.
just a fact,
Yeah. Fact.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh huh.
I tell the story all the time. My parents had to go to another state to get married because it was biracial. My
Right.
sister, who's very white, if you've ever seen her, she doesn't look anything like me. On her birth certificate, it says she's white, and on mine, it says American Indian. And because her birth certificate says it's white, because you couldn't choose two, right? You could only choose one.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
of that one, she got bused to NH Jones, right? She had to
And
go
you had to
because of the.
walk.
And I went to Highlands Elementary School because we lived half a mile from it.
Right.
Well,
Right.
no, 2 blocks away from Highlands Elementary School. So
Yeah.
look, it's, but to me, that is part of growing up for me was look, this is how people are going to act towards you. You got to deal with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And so I had a group of friends and we became very, very close. And
Right.
they could call me whatever they wanted because I didn't, it was my buddies. I knew where their heart was. And
Right.
I
Right.
think we've lost that. We've lost again, the feminization of the male where we've
Yeah.
put all our emotions outside.
Yeah,
It,
everything's
it,
been homogenized and watered down
sure. Now,
to a point of detriment. I mean, to a point of
absolutely.
there are consequences when things
Sure.
like that happen. You know,
Now you should only get emotional when you see, a Ferrari F40. I mean,
right,
that's whew.
right,
or
or when
or
you
your or your reaction to the 220. I mean, you broke down in
or
tears.
or my reaction to the paint job on that. I can't remember what model Ferrari it was in the other room, but that black paint job
Oh yeah.
that was
Oh
like a
yeah.
mirror.
You
Not even you couldn't even
I,
see at a certain angle. You couldn't even see the car anymore. It
I
was
walked over and I'm like,
such
what? We were at makeup and I'm like, Shane, what are you doing? He goes, I look at this paint job. And I literally looked down at first. I'm like, I thought it was glass. I mean,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
incredible. But
It was incredible. Yeah.
and those are the kinds of things that if we showed our wives, they'd be like, okay, all
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, they'd stand there for half a second and then move on to something else.
yeah, yeah. And again, I think that's part of it. And a lot of it, like even our sports, has become very feminized, where it's no longer just a place for dudes to watch, which is fine. I don't have a problem with any of that. I just still think there needs to be, and I don't want to use the word safe space, but the space for men just to hang out.
You just mean just a space that's safe for men.
Well, but I don't want it to be safe. I want it to go where guys can just be
Right.
guys. We don't need it to be safe.
Right. Right. Right.
Because then where
You're not saying you want it to be the old days where men, went to Africa and everybody, women weren't even allowed in the room ever.
right, I'm
You're
not
just
saying
saying
yeah,
that, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with the guys over here, and you're welcome to not join us.
right, and
Yeah.
it's okay that you're not there. I'm literally not talking about women
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
exhausting. Like
Yeah.
when there's a dude in the room talking about a woman, you're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
She's a whore. We knew she was a whore when you met her. You stayed with her anyway. You didn't listen to us. And I'm
Right.
not saying we take away the vote from the women. I'm not yet.
Right.
But that's
Yeah.
just
Oh,
no.
that'll be
But
great.
again,
That'll play
I
great.
think yeah, that should be good. As long as they vote the way we tell them to, it's no problem.
Oh my god. Just gets
But
worse.
but that's the kind of joke you
Just
can't say.
remember
That's the
a
kind of joke you
lady
can't
and you
say in
can't.
front of.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
that's my
Right.
whole point. You
Yeah.
think it's funny if we were with on our neighbor's porch, you would have left.
You keep bringing that up, but don't forget that was a work function for me. So
It's just
you're
not
judging it by
true.
the stand. It is 100% true. You're judging it by the standard of this is my friend Shane hanging out,
Did you
and
ever
at the
tell me it was a
time,
work function?
uh,
The answer is no.
that's a good question.
Would have it
Did
changed?
I?
Would it have changed the way I operated?
No, not
No,
you. No.
no.
One of the things I appreciate about you is the fact that no matter where you are or what you're doing, you are exactly the same. For
I, tr-
good or
I
bad
yeah.
or
This is who I
indifferent,
am.
you are you. Now you said you might censor yourself a little bit in front of your wife. And by that, I think you mean you thought about it for half a millisecond before you said it anyway.
We've been married a long time.
Yeah.
If I'm with her, no, I like if I'm with her friends.
Right.
First of all, it's difficult for me to like carry on conversation because I'm like, I don't want my wife to be mad at me.
What? Yeah. And with you, that's a real legitimate concern.
It is a constant battle
Yeah.
between what did I do wrong today.
Right. Right.
That's why I need. Yeah, you think about like in London when they would have all the different men's clubs.
Right.
I could hang out there, where it was nothing but brown liquor, cigars. Even though I don't smoke cigars,
Yeah.
just and by the way, when you see like the videos and the old movies that are there, you
Hmm.
walk in, they're not really talking, right? The guys are just sitting there drinking their tea by themselves, reading the
Right.
paper by themselves. There
Right.
may be like two people conversation. The other guys are just like, look, please just give me a little
Leave
space here.
Yeah, leave me alone. I want to sit in silence. When somebody comes in that we can all make fun of together, we're going to do that. Other than that, just let me sit here and look at this deer carcass that I shot earlier this afternoon.
And maybe we bring back old man, the term. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, hello, old man. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know.
So what's the solution? You brought up a really good
Yeah,
interesting problem or interesting point. What do
and
we
I
do about it
and
as a society?
I think it's healing. I think we are going back to that because, and I think it's starting with a lot with our veterans. We all know the suicide rate for veterans
Yeah.
way too high. It's
Yeah.
never been good, but it's very bad. And I
Right.
think you're starting to see those guys who need other guys who have gone through it or just other guys to support them. Because you and I both know that you can tell when a dude's in trouble and when a guy's just, all right, look, you've had a bad day. Just sit there, have a beer, just
Yeah.
hang out, right? There's a difference. You can see that. If you know that person, you can see it in them. But
Right.
in order to see it in them, you have to have them in that space.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
Yeah, because
I
if
think,
not, you're getting a filtered version of them too.
right,
So, and they're not being honest. Yeah,
right.
no, I agree. There's definitely a certain level of honesty that comes with what we talked about earlier. Trust in your friends, trust in what they're saying, trust to not be judged in a different way than what than just for comedy. But like when a real situation happens, yeah, you definitely need that. You definitely need that space and that
Yeah,
the ability to just be a dude
yeah,
talking to a dude. Just two guys. Hey man, I see you're going through something. You know, what do you need? I've
sure,
been there. I mean,
sure.
I had a time before where three or four of my buddies came and picked me up, and we went out, and I really really needed it.
Yeah,
And there was nothing weird going on. It was just, hey, you're clearly in a weird headspace. We're gonna come and do something about that.
and we're not going to
And it
talk
was
about
great.
it again.
And we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
And we
look, I
never
get
have.
it.
That was
What
over 20 years ago,
what
and
is there
has
to say,
never came up again.
right? What is there to
Not
say?
once. Right.
And I think
But
that's
amazingly therapeutic.
yeah, and I think that's part of it. And you may have never even approached the problem that was bothering you. You may have never even
No,
come close because it didn't matter.
Never did. No,
Because
not
you
even. Didn't even
realize,
come up.
all
That
right,
it didn't come up
yeah,
at all.
oh, why
But
not?
it was that getting
So,
right in your own head
yes,
in an environment that's built for that.
that's correct. And it's
Yeah.
not bleeding, it's not leaning into your problem.
No.
It's not solving your problem. It's just like,
No.
look, I see the
If
problem
anything,
for
it's
what
making
it
your
is.
problem worse. Honestly, in some cases, it might be making the problem worse on a certain level. Like if you're going out and let's say avoiding, but at the same time, if you're processing through it in your head while you're, or just getting your brain out of that space
Yeah,
completely, so you can think about it later in a different
yeah,
way.
absolutely. Some of the worst place you could be is on your couch
Oh,
where it's
100%.
just you,
Where it's just
um,
you.
and there's no distraction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But again,
It is.
part of that healing process is one, if you're a lady and you're listening to this, allow your man to have that space, right? If he's in a poker game, if he's going to play golf for 4 hours on a Saturday, um, maybe that's
Yeah.
exactly what he needs in order to be sane. Um, I share this story once in a while. I'll remove the names, protect the innocent. This wife
Uh-huh.
made this husband sell his boat. It was his bass
Oof.
boat.
Yeah.
It was his whole world. Like when we went out to dinner with him, what he was talking about was his boat and bass fishing. He
Right.
was in tournament bass fishing, a member of
Right.
bass, right? And she
Yep.
made him sell it. And I remember telling my wife, I'm like, that's going to destroy him and their marriage will be over. And
Yeah.
both of those things were true. He
Yeah.
never recovered, right? Because that was where he was
Sadly,
happy.
though, sadly, the thing of it was, is the marriage was broken the day before she said it. Before she,
That's correct. Because
you
she
know,
made
it.
him choose between the
Right,
boat and her, basically. It
right,
was almost like an ultimatum.
right.
Um,
Well, it sounds like it was an ultimatum, not almost.
yeah.
It
And
most
and
certainly was.
and the man trying to be like, well, we're built to sacrifice, right? That's part of it. But
Yeah, sure, but at the same time, and it's hard. It's my wife and I have talked about this before, and it's hard to describe because again, this is going to come off wrong, and it's not the way I mean it to come across. But and I'm only saying that for the audience, not for you, because I know you don't care. But and by the audience, I mean what is it? Two people? Anyway,
yeah,
whatever. Um, you know, going back to that whole, way we're wired, way we're built, women were wired to have and raise a family. So
right,
for a mother to be home with her kids, on some level, that's all they need. Now, I'm not
hmm,
saying that that's all women need. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, men, we need to be out of that space. We need time. Oh, not it's not time away from our family. That's not what we need. We need time with our male friends.
sure,
It's not
sure.
it's those two things are not the same. It's not I don't need time away from my family. That's not what I'm saying. But I do need time for this over here.
Well, we need to go and
And
do the
I
council thing, right? The where the
yeah.
heads, where the
Yeah,
where
the
the other members of the tribe go and just
right.
meet. It's
War
just
council
dudes,
or whatever. Yeah,
whatever you want to
hunting
call that.
council, whatever it is, exactly.
Yeah,
And I don't think women need that, and it's
it,
very difficult to try to explain that in a way that doesn't come off dickish because
right,
it's not. It's really not. It's just a fact of hey, evolutionarily this has been happening for a long, long, long time.
well, and
And in 50 years time
mhm,
period is not a long time, and that's not enough to change wiring.
sure,
And do we even want to? Like, should we? There's certain
sure,
things like you shouldn't stick your hand in a fire. We know this.
mhm,
You know, certain things you just don't mess with, and
sure,
messing around with the way the brain works, probably not a great idea, honestly.
sure. And I think it's leading to a lot of problems on both sides, whether it's
I
the
Yeah.
amount of mental illness that we have. If you've
Hmm.
ever listened to a podcast, it seems like everyone's about mental health, which I think is important. Look, I'm not diminishing mental health at all. If you need help, go get it. Uh,
Yeah.
but you also need to be around some people are like, look, you got to get over this, man. And
It's
there is no place in which men can just be men.
right.
It's not in the workforce because they've taken that completely out.
Well, not as a blanket statement. I agree with you 100%. You have to,
Yeah,
you
you
have
have
to
to go
build your
find
own.
it.
You have
You
to
have
go
to go
find it or
find it.
build it yourself. You have to go
Correct.
make
Correct.
those things happen. Like
Absolutely.
this thing. Like,
Yeah.
we had to make this happen,
Sure.
you
Sure.
know.
And I think that's part of it. But at the same time, women in our society need to understand that men need it. You know why? Because men already know that our women need it. Because
Neat.
we can't deal with it. We like, if they need to go and talk and
Yeah.
and get out all of their emotions, that's better for me, right?
Well, not only
That's
that, but
I don't think the way my
stereotypically,
wife thinks. I don't want to
right.
think the way my wife
Right.
thinks. I
Absolutely.
don't.
That's what makes marriage and relationships work is
Sure,
we're different and we need to be different, you know.
sure,
You
sure.
know, like you're never going to see a group of guys that say, "Hey, do you want to get together and go cry at this movie?" No. No. Uh I don't I don't
A
want to
group
do
of
that.
guys going to the movie sounds terrible. Um,
It's happened a couple of times.
I'm trying. It'd have to be a really special movie.
I can tell you the band, I can tell you the last time it happened for me. The
Maverick.
band no, way worse. Sausage Party.
Oh God, that's well. It kind of makes fun. It kind of makes
It,
sense.
yeah,
Um,
it's the perfect only guys movie. Like I
yeah,
think no women should have ever seen that movie.
yeah. There's a comedian who does a joke. I know you've heard it because you love comedians.
I
Where he
do.
talks about he went and played a round of golf with this guy who had just gotten divorced,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
couple used to go and hang out.
yeah,
And the wife said, "So how is he doing?" He goes, "Oh, I don't know."
yeah,
Well, you just played golf with him. Uh huh. You
yeah,
just spent 4 hours with him. Uh huh. How's he doing? Fine, I guess.
yeah. I think it was Bill Engvall.
Yeah, it may have been, but
Yeah.
it's like that. Yeah.
Or
What do you want?
how are the wife and kids? I don't know.
After yesterday's show, Chris, it's like, how's Shane? I guess good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Why
don't.
wouldn't I be?
What do you want? What do you want? I. That's.
Right.
But it's also therapeutic that we're just hanging out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, don't take this the wrong way, but I don't really care how you're doing. Honestly, I mean, no, I do. You're my
I know.
friend,
I don't think you do.
but in a
I think
joking way,
like
in a
if I had
joking
a bad
way,
day, you really don't give a shit. Just like you had a
no,
bad
no,
day yesterday, you're like, I'm so busy. I'm like, I don't really care.
yeah, no, for sure, no, you're right, and I wouldn't want you to. Like, if you came
And
in and you were like, "Hey, man, tell me about your day," I'd be like, no,
no, but we've
what?
also
Why
vented to
would you
each
do that?
other over
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
over shit. That's
yeah,
not the
but
same thing.
but that's also it. It's hey, I'm gonna blow up for 3 minutes
And we're
and
gonna
then it's
let it go.
over, and then
Yeah,
we're gonna let it go, and then we're gonna move on to something
correct,
completely different because
correct.
now that part of my life is over now, and we're back to this.
And we do vent about the stupid things our kids do. But
Yeah,
that's okay. I
yeah,
can't do that with my wife because she gets, I can't believe that. Like, what are
yeah,
you talking about? I
yeah.
don't love him any less because he's an idiot.
Right, 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 right. Absolutely.
He's my idiot.
Because yeah, well, I mean, and it's great that we're both boy dads because boys are just dumb.
They're
Like
stupid.
they're
They're
just
just stupid.
they're dumb, and as a side effect, you and I are also dumb. You know,
Morons.
yeah.
Complete
So,
idiot.
but when you get to a certain age, you understand. Oh, I'm stupid. Like there's no way.
Time will tell.
Yeah, one day I'll figure it out, but it's not today. Definitely not
Yeah.
today. But
There is,
and those are the kind of things that like when with my wife, we can be like, why are they so? It's just we call it boy brain, and we don't ever grow out of that. You
no.
know, as men, we still find the dumbest things absolutely hilarious,
Yeah.
and it does not change
Not at
ever.
all. Not at all. Well, this was good. I'm glad you liked the topic. I
I
wasn't
did.
sure.
I did like the topic. I don't think we've solved anything, which is perfect
We're not
because we're not
supposed to.
supposed to. Yeah.
We're not supposed to. And again, I think just this is just the way it is. I just think we need to figure out in today's society how men can just be men
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
judged for it.
Right. Right.
You know,
And I think that goes for everything. I think, there's so much judgment on all sides out there. I think even, you know, just people not being judged in general. But yeah, I think men need you
we're
need time to just be in a place where you can
we're
just
Neanderthals.
we are.
Literally, if you put a fire in the middle of the street and a chair,
Yeah.
they would just the men would just gravitate towards it.
Yeah.
And if you had a cooler there,
Yep.
they would come quicker.
Yeah. Or and we've seen this because we used to do Halloween in the middle of the street, and the families had come by, and the husband would like walk away, pulling the wagon, looking longingly at us sitting there drinking a beer, doing nothing, being like, man, I want to do that, but
Yeah,
I gotta take these damn kids
yeah.
around to get candy, and then
And you and I have both done that. We're not in
we
that
have both
stage
done that.
anymore. And
No,
we
that
always tell
that
them, look, if you want to come back,
come back.
come
We'll
on
be
back.
right here. Yeah. We'll
And
be
we were.
right here. And we
We
were.
were.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were.
A couple people came back, which was good times.
That's correct.
Not many, not many.
Yeah, yeah. The
I think
legacy grew.
we would have had a lot more repeat offenders if we weren't at the end of a cul-de-sac,
Oh
with
yeah, yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
almost no reason to come down there at the end of the
Yeah,
neighborhood,
correct.
which was
Yeah,
great for everything else. Because yeah,
yes.
so cool,
Sitting there with a
great
fire.
topic. Really enjoyed it. Very yeah, this
I
was
don't know
really
what
good.
kind of rebuttal we'll have for this one. I don't know what we got wrong, but I'm sure we screwed up something.
Yeah, uh, you know, we'll figure it out. I mean, yeah, I mean,
But
I,
I'm curious. I'm curious if once you spend some time thinking about this,
mm-hmm,
just like you
mm-hmm.
did with the AI when we did the first episode,
Right, right.
how it changes and how your thoughts on it change.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. And then the couple of little things that we want to kind of research and see, some facts, but that'll be probably minimal because neither one of us are researchers. So
We don't do
yeah,
facts. We don't
no,
deal.
not so much.
We deal in conjecture.
Yeah, we deal in the abstract.
That's correct. That's correct.
All right. All right, sir. Well, have a great week. We'll do this thing. Yeah, absolutely. We'll do this thing next time. If anybody out there is still listening, thanks. If not, you probably should. Have a good one.
Play the bitter, Shane.
We're out. See ya.